What have you made of the news?
Big decision. Obviously, look at the winter, and a lot's been happening in English cricket as a consequence of that. But I think it's the right decision. It's a brave call. Certainly know from my experience as a selector and working with Angus Fraser that he's never shied away from tough decisions. But it's harsh because, I say it's harsh, it's difficult because they're two fantastic cricketers, two of England's greatest cricketers of all time. But I do think if this team is to move forward and the England Test team is to move forward, these sort of decisions have got to be made, and a sort of different culture, different outlook is what's required.
Yeah, how much do you think was in the reasoning was the dynamic of the dressing room? They've got so much experience, they're big characters. You've got Joe Root as well as the captain who might want to impose himself. How much do you think that was taken into account?
I think that would have been a factor. I mean, you look at the figures, and obviously the Australian bowlers, if you look at the averages at the end of the Ashes, I think they had 4 bowlers who certainly took their wickets cheaper than Anderson and Broad, but it's not really a form thing. But yeah, they are big characters. When they are left out, when things do happen, they've got newspaper columns to air their disappointments, and I think sometimes those columns have put greater pressure on Joe Root and the coaches over the decisions they've made, and they're perfectly entitled to do that. So I've got nothing against a player going out there and airing his frustrations, as I would have done at times during my career. But equally, does that airing of frustrations help the captain and the coach in what they're trying to do in preparing and building a side moving forward? So, no, I think that would have had a role to play in the decision that was made.
Do you think they'll be back here in the summer, New Zealand, here in June?
One thing you always said as a cricketer, you didn't want to give a sucker an even chance, and I think Broad and Anderson have been very much aware of that, and they've wanted to play every test match that they can play in, because someone comes in and does well and all of a sudden you're under pressure. But it's a tough summer of cricket, but yeah, I'd like to think England will stick with the decision they've made and give these youngsters and other bowlers a chance to move forward. And all right, people sort of think, well, the next test is always the important one, you've got to win it. Well, yes, it is, but sometimes if that's all you look at, you can get in situations where you get a lot of players, older players, coming to the end of their careers together, and suddenly there's a huge hole that you fall into. So, yeah, the responsibility now is down to these youngsters to show what they've got, given these opportunities in the West Indies, and if they do that should continue during the summer, hopefully with a couple of the bowlers that have had chances in the past regaining fitness and adding to that strength of depth. Do
you think it could be the end of the road for them then?
Yeah, it could well be. It could well be, and that's tough. I mean, you look back at my career and my last year in Test cricket, I took 58 wickets at about 23 apiece, and boom, that was it. It was an Ashes tour, and the side moves on. So these sort of decisions are made at the end of Ashes tours. It is a 4-year cycle. Cricket in Australia does, I suppose, give English cricket a real signal of where it's at one moment in time. And obviously it was found wanting this winter, and if England want to go to Australia in 4 years' time with a side that is capable of winning it, they've got to start making decisions now, and those decisions might be hard on some players, but it's tough out there, and people have to make them.
In terms of the Red Bull reset, Andrew Strauss is looking at appointing a permanent director, and then he's suggested splitting the roles of Red Bull and White Ball coach. Do you think that's the way forward?
I think it's something to look at. I mean, I say my role at Middlesex, we've sort of tinkered with things. I say tinkered with things. We've tried ideas. We brought Dan Victorian as a specialist T20 coach to sort of try to invigorate that part of our cricket. It is very difficult for a coach and a player or captain really to sort of keep a level of energy, excitement, enthusiasm on every form of the game, because the schedule is relentless. So having different coaches is something that might work. You do get fresh ideas. As you say, sometimes now we're playing tours that overlap, so it's impossible for one coach to be there at every, or the same coach to be there at every match. But I suppose the thing that they're managing then is the availability of players. So Ben Stokes, where does he play? There's a White Ball tour, there's a Red Bull Test series. Where does he play at any given moment in time? And I suppose getting the different coaches to understand that is going to be, or the management of that situation is going to be one of the challenges that it brings.
You've been involved with the setup before as a selector. Would you want to get back involved again? Would you throw your hat back into the ring?
You never say no, do you? I mean, no. I mean, you love being involved and you want to help. Whether it's gone past me, I don't know. But the phone's always there to be sort of picked up and answered. And yeah, if you can help in any way, then you want to do it. But there's some good people around too, with the best interest in this game at heart.